Hello, welcome to Career Convos. My name is Heather Glenn, and I am here today with Angie. Angie, thank you so much for joining us here on Career
Yeah,
Convos.
yeah, absolutely.
I really appreciate your time. Angie is a medical esthetician, and I am so thrilled to be able to kind of dig into what you do and how you figured out your path. And this is another one of those careers that I have had a lot of interest in, especially with my female clients have mostly been interested in this. So I'm excited to shoot them a text when we're done so that they can check this out.
Great.
All right, so let's get started by you sharing a brief summary of your work history, how you got into this field and into your position.
Yeah. So I started, it was a little over 10 years ago. And it really started just from encouragement from friends and family to just really maybe look into the aesthetic career. And yeah, it was kind of like, yeah, a midlife thing for me where, yeah, I was just, had my degrees in fashion merchandising, and I had worked retail for so many years and just was tired of that. And so it started with encouragement to get my aesthetic license, which I did. And I pretty much, once I got my license, started working for another gal in a very small spa setting. And I worked there for about a year and really honed in my skill, which was invaluable, by the way. So that would be like one key, I would say. Like, once you get your degree, is really work for somebody else and really learn the field. Because I feel like in school you learn the technical stuff, but it's best to really kind of just shadow and just learn and pick up and learn your own skills, and you really do make it your own. And I feel like that first year was that key year for me. And then worked for her for a year, and then went out on my own, rented a space, and started building my clientele. And that took a while. I would just encourage people to be patient with that. But, so at first you hone your skill, and then it took, I would say maybe a good year to get up to full time. And that was my goal. I did want to work full time. So it just took a while. And then you start building those repeat patients and clients that come back. So really I had built my business in about a year on my own, did that for about 5 years, and then was just finding that a lot of my patients were kind of wanting to go a little bit deeper and try more aggressive treatments that I really couldn't offer. And so at that point, I got into the medical side of it and was able to do more like microneedling and start doing some laser treatments. And then so I did that. So I started that probably about 5 years ago, and then I've worked at 2 med spas. And currently I am working at a med spa that does a lot of different medical treatments. So now I pretty much am doing, I would say like 90% of my business is all medical treatments.
Interesting. So it started as an aesthetic kind of licensure.
Mm-hmm.
And then what did you do to get the medical edition?
Medical side. Yeah. So the medical side, and you can go about it a couple of different ways. Like there are some medical classes that you can take and get a certification on the medical side. The way I chose to do it, and there's just options. For me, I just got hired on at a med spa, and mainly because of my experience, right? And then was working under a nurse practitioner. And so working under her license, was able to do the more medical treatments, and then got training through that facility.
Okay.
So that was how I broke into the medical side of it. But you can also do it by taking some classes, getting experience in the schooling side, and then coming to a med spa. But what I have found in the industry is honestly, they're going to train you the way they want you to be trained, and you're going to learn on their machine. So it's almost just easier and more efficient to just get
Mm,
hired on at a med spa and learn their way.
awesome. Awesome. And do you know if does this vary state to state? Is this a
Yeah.
state regulated thing? Okay.
Yes, for
And so
sure.
you are coming
Mhm.
from the state of Idaho, right?
Idaho.
Okay.
Yep.
So it will be different,
Yes.
varying upon where you live. And so, as with all of these interviews, we always encourage people to check out
Yep.
people that they know and that they
hmm
are in areas that they want to work because things can vary regionally.
Absolutely. Like I know for sure, even California, I'm not sure of all states, but I do know California is a lot stricter
Okay.
on what falls under esthetician's license. So
Okay.
um, my understanding is like I don't believe you can do laser even under a doctor, even under a nurse practitioner. So um, yeah, state to state, it is different. We're just very blessed here in Idaho that um, the laws are a little more flexible. So basically, what I'm doing majority is falling under the doctor's licensure.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Good to know.
hmm
So, why don't you tell me some of your favorite parts of your daily work? What are some of the things that you really enjoy?
treatment wise, is that
Sure.
what you
Yeah.
mean?
Treatment
Yeah.
wise, or just how your interaction, or just when you think about your daily tasks, what are the parts that you feel like are the most fun or the most rewarding?
Yeah. I would say for me, the most rewarding part is really just building connections with my patients.
Mm,
Um, they, yeah, it's building that relationship, and you get to know so many different people. And it's just, I love just really getting to know people and helping them, from my tool house, as far as knowing different treatments that could help them. So it's more just kind of digging deeper with them and finding out what their concerns are, and actually like helping them feel better about themselves. And I love it because it's really a positive environment where you're actually helping people and just getting to know them. That's
mm,
for me, that's the most rewarding. But there for sure are definitely treatments that I do enjoy doing more than others.
mm.
Microneedling is a really great treatment. uh, I love it because it's pretty affordable. And the downtime of that treatment is really just 24 hours, and you get results from it. So I always just feel like that's a great treatment to just help people just feel better, to revitalize their skin, to get some new collagen, just to
Yeah,
help them feel better about themselves. So
yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
all that.
And I just, in my mind, I think, who's not happy to go to the spa? Like, everybody's
Right.
like really happy to be there.
Yeah, right.
So, why don't you tell me some of the key things that you felt like you did in order to get to this point? You had mentioned going to school, and you've
hmm
mentioned, shadowing and working sort of under an esthetician to get more experience. Um,
hmm
I'm even wondering what you felt like really helped give you an edge as far as applying to individual med spas, how you're able to sell yourself or give yourself a little bit of to show your ability, or maybe just some of the things
Yeah,
that you felt like you consciously did to make yourself more marketable.
sure. Um, well, I feel like for me, the biggest one was not giving up. Because I feel like even at the beginning, it was hard. And but I would say number one was just really learning the skill and making it my own.
Mm,
Um, because learning from somebody else, like she has her way of doing things, but then like just practice, practice, practice to really and get feedback. My family, bless their heart, they had a lot of facials from me, but I was just
yeah.
like, is this good? Is this not good? And just got a ton of feedback, and
Yeah.
friends too. So just really honing that skill. to where it was my own, and then just not giving up. So once I honed it and then started building my business, there were slow days,
Yeah.
and my goal was to be full time, and it did take a while to get to full
Yeah.
time. And there were days where I was discouraged and just thinking, oh my gosh, am I really meant to do this?
Yeah.
And I just didn't give up. And looking back on it, I would say that was key, because I did have other friends that were in school, and it just was too hard for them, and I had the flexibility where I didn't have to rely on that full-time income. So, I was blessed in that manner that I could hang in there and get to full-time. So yeah, probably those two things.
Well, that's awesome advice. So, what do you see as some of the challenges of your work, either in your field
Hmm.
or just in your daily work? What are some of the challenges that you face as a medical esthetician?
Well, I would say probably one of the biggest challenges would be that our industry is always changing and it's always growing. There's always something new on the market. There's just it's just constant. So for on the medical side, I would say the biggest challenge is just staying current, with what is out there, because that brings excitement, that brings people in, and they're like, yeah, I want to try that. I don't want to miss out on that treatment,
Yeah. Mhm.
So yeah, I would say, that is a big hurdle to really stay current, because if you're not, I feel like, you will be losing patients to people that are staying current. And it's just always something new.
Mhm. So is there almost a measure of self-employment in this? Like you're kind of, even though you're working for a med spa, do you still have, is it based on your own productivity, your compensation, or does that vary from med spa or?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. I think, yeah, I mean, I can only speak to the ones that I work at, but, there's definitely goals and incentives.
Okay.
So, that is
So
helpful.
being able to provide additional services would help
Mhm.
you in your career as
Oh,
well, because you are
absolutely.
almost a little bit self-employed, just a tiny bit.
Sure. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Awesome. And so you were just saying that there are so many changes coming in your field. Do you see any other changes? I'm wondering, a big thing with so many fields is technology. Are you
Hmm.
seeing new technologies introduced,
Hmm.
new certifications? I was wondering about that.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, for sure. Um, yeah. So just as an example, so, I was speaking about microneedling. So, microneedling's been around for a while. But like, and which we've been doing, it's a great treatment, people see results. But the new technology coming out now is microneedling with radio frequency heat in each needle. So
Mm.
so you so you get the benefit of the microneedling, and from that treatment, it's basically like you're getting new collagen production. We're wounding the skin to have the body heal itself. So it's during that healing time that the body sends new collagen, and that collagen is what gives you the firm base under those top layers of skin. So it just helps increase some firmness. But as those needles come out of the skin, that heat tightens it. So you get firming underneath, but you get tightening on the top of the skin. Um, so it's just, they're
Almost
always
like it
evolving.
sears the top, like it's like a searing kind of?
Yes,
Okay.
it does. Yes, it absolutely does. Yes, it does.
Fascinating.
Um, but but you get both. You get the firming and the tightening in one treatment. So uh, yeah, it's just always changing
Mhm.
and growing, and it's just important to stay. I feel like it's just important to stay current, because then you're staying busy and your clients are happy. They want to be able to do the most current treatments too.
Yeah. So when something comes out like that, um, would the companies that provide needles or the equipment, are those the kinds of people that are doing the training, or do you have
Yes.
to go to some outside place or?
Yeah. So with this one specifically, yeah. So the company brings in a trainer, and
Okay.
so we spend the day, couple of days, whatever, training on that machine, and then we get certified on that machine.
Okay.
So then we're a certified technician
Mhm.
to operate that machine, and that's what I have found is the certification that we get is more on an individual machine.
Mm. Mhm. So, yeah, so then again, another reason to stay current so that if you did end
Mhm.
up having to find another place of employment, that you had the most current
Sure.
certification.
Yeah, training and understanding, even just the understanding of how the treatment works is key. So, yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
So, yeah, having those certifications is very helpful.
Yes, I can see that. All right. So, let's talk for a minute about the skills that you feel like somebody really needs to have in order to be good at
Mhm.
being a medical esthetician. What are some of the things that you feel like you would definitely need to know how to do in order to be successful?
Mhm. Um, First, I would say uh, just caring about other people, really having a heart for helping people,
Mhm,
and just really, keeping their needs in mind and really doing what is best for them.
mhm,
Um, but then also just a willingness to learn, that desire to really want to learn the deeper medical treatments and how they work and have an understanding so that you can provide the best treatment for that patient.
oh, yeah.
So, yeah, because like really having that understanding, you can deliver the results better and quicker.
Mhm,
Um, yeah, so I would say, yeah, for sure, that for really wanting to help people, having an understanding of the machines and the respect for the machines because they can cause damage, so there's a lot of there's a window, right, that you treat, um, you know, right, if you're outside of the window on this side, you're not given a good enough treatment. If you're outside of the window on this side, you could be burning or really harming the skin. So it's really understanding what that window is and staying utilizing the treatments within that window. And that just goes back to having the desire to understand the machine, having respect for the machine, what it can do, and knowing how to deliver those results.
mhm. Well, and I have had friends and acquaintances that have shared a bad experience with a certain treatment, and you have to
Mhm.
wonder, was it the treatment or was it the person that was providing the treatment just not really knowing exactly what they're doing? So it
Mhm.
is, you do have to have a sensitivity to the fact that what you're doing really does affect that person quite a bit.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. The other thing that I have found too is just really asking a lot of questions with the patient because I have found, and it's been, and not everybody's perfect, right? Like you will make mistakes, but I have found that there are people that are sensitive that don't realize they're sensitive, and they're coming in for a deeper treatment, but it's up to me to really find out, well, how sensitive are they, instead of putting a harsh chemical peel on their skin and then all of a sudden they're burned. So it is a matter of just asking the right questions to people when you first meet them to determine how sensitive they are, because a lot of that is unknown, especially the first time you work on somebody. So it's like you really want to, I always just say, I want to start with a baseline. After this treatment, I'll know how sensitive your skin is, and then we'll push the limits. But I got to know where that line is
yeah.
first,
Mhm.
because I have been burned before, where you're just like, oh, let's try this. And then it's too much. So it's just learning, but just being aware that there are sensitive people who have sensitive skin and they don't even realize it, so it's
Yeah.
up to the esthetician to really kind of proceed with caution
Right.
until you figure out what that is for
Right.
each patient.
And I love that you say knowing the questions to ask so that you can get the information that you need, because
Yeah.
they're pretty, I mean, we can be pretty unaware just as
Yeah.
regular people, especially if it's not something we spend a lot of time thinking about.
Yeah, for sure.
Why don't you speak for a minute about work-life balance,
Mm-hmm.
as far as your job, what that looks like week to week or over the course of the year? How does that impact your work life? How does this particular job impact your work-life balance?
Yeah.
And maybe even if you could kind of share a little bit like working for a spa versus working on your own. Are there any
Yeah.
differences or anything like that?
Yeah. So, yeah, work life balance is key. And that was one thing that, I have learned again the hard way.
Mhm.
Um, and for me, I just, that was one thing too that is very key in really doing this business was when I initially started, because you're growing your business and you want to be able to, hey, come in this day. Yep, I'm flexible. I can do it this day. And then which is fine until you're building your business, but then you kind of get to a point where your business is full. And if you continue to keep making those accommodations, all of a sudden your work life is out of balance to your personal life, because then this is just what I have found happened with me. I just got out of balance because I was like, yep, I can do that. Yep, I can do that. And then I'm exhausted. Um, and that was more when I'm working for myself, right? Because I'm making my own schedule, and I'm being accommodating, I'm being flexible. And so what I found was helpful for me was going to work for the med spas, and they set the schedule, right? So they're like, okay, you're available 9 to 5 this day. And they're booking the patients for you. So it's easier for them to say, oh, well, Angie's not working today, so she can get you in next week, you
Right.
know? And it just, that was a good learning curve for me too, to just be like, nope, those are my boundaries, 9 to 5. Like, I'm not
Right.
going to stay till 7. I'm not going to come in on my day off. And so for me, I feel like that is so helpful with the patients that, because you do want to help, and to have that heart is can be challenging, and it can be hard to find that balance as far as, oh, sure, I'll make the time to do that. um, but for me, I just found it got out of balance really easy, so
Right.
having front desk handle that was huge.
Yeah. And I'm thinking of like a hairdresser I had in the past that, it is funny when it's your own business and they're talking directly to you, they may
Yeah.
expect more than if they're talking to a
Yeah.
business, which is sort of
Yes,
silly. But
it is,
I know for
but it's
her,
true.
she just had a virtual calendar and just said, just make the changes on the calendar. That's how I
Yeah.
do my scheduling.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so you can use technology to help kind of give you some boundaries as well. But I love that you bring that up because I think that's a trap that so many people fall into, especially if they're in the more self-employed area,
Hmm.
just feeling like they have to be so accommodating.
Yeah.
All right. So why don't, oh, and then I was going to ask you as well
Hmm.
for work-life balance. Is there a time of year? How are holidays? How's your time? Like, what's your general schedule? Do you feel like it's pretty balanced? Are there certain periods that are busier?
Yeah, for sure, times that are busier. I feel like, yeah, fall and winter are just really busy for us on the medical side, because that's typically when we do a lot of like IPL lasers, and we do um, laser treatments to treat pigment. Um, we
Because the
treat them
sun is
during,
not out. And so, okay.
yeah,
Safe.
exactly. So it's safer and you get much better results. So yeah, we get loaded with a lot of those, and even like laser hair removal, because when the skin is tan, we really do not treat the patient, because there's so many risks that can happen with tan skin and the laser. So yeah,
Interesting.
I find that really fall and winter are pretty much our busiest times.
Hmm.
And then, yeah, in fall, it really picks back up when a lot of moms, the kids, well, not with COVID, but when kids go back to school, moms have a lot more free time. So that really picks up then. And it does seem like in the summer, we kind of die off. People are taking vacations.
Mhm.
Um, so probably summertime's the slowest, and fall and winter the busiest.
So, and that kind of works well if you do have kids that are in school, then it does sort of follow their same calendar. So
Yeah.
that's kind of good.
Hmm.
All right. Now, why don't you just, the last thing is I always like to ask what you wish you had known about your industry before you started. Was there something that you think, oh, I wish I had known that
Mhm.
earlier?
Um, yeah, I think probably the how we were talking about like that work life balance, you know, with really that it's okay to tell your patients no. Like it's okay to just be like, I'm sorry, I can't see you that day, or I'm sorry, I'm only going to be working till 5 o'clock. Um, and that it's okay to lose people based on that. Because
Mhm.
I think that I was fearful of that. I was fearful, oh, I can't lose a client because I'm trying to build my clientele. Um, it's just learning. So a couple of things. So that would be the first one. Um, learning it's okay to say no, and learning it's okay to let people go.
Mhm.
Um, and then on the flip side of that was learning that not every patient is a good fit for you.
Mm.
That was another key thing for me was because you will have people that are not happy with their treatment or feel like they didn't get the results that they wanted. And I just had found that, and it's only happened a couple of times, but there were patients that I had to let go, and for me had to say, well, I just feel like we're not a good fit,
Mhm.
and that's okay, because I think what happens is you get in the trap of when you're building clientele, you got to have every patient. But if the relationship is not a healthy relationship, it's better to let that go. Because I was finding myself getting so anxious when, people that weren't happy and they would come in and they'd always complain, and it was making me anxious because I felt like I wasn't providing what their expectation was. And it's okay to just say, we're just not a good fit for each other.
Right.
Maybe you need to find another esthetician.
Right.
So just having that freedom would have been helpful because it did cause a lot of anxiety for me. Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like maybe having a little bit of maturity in your field. Like it just takes a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
time and to develop that confidence that you do provide
Sure.
good services, but your
Mm-hmm.
services aren't what everybody needs or
Yeah.
expects. And I think that would be true in any profession, I think. So I love
Mm-hmm.
that you shared that. Well, Angie, was wonderful. I'm so grateful to you for sharing a little bit of time with us today. And I know this
Yeah.
is going to be really helpful for people. So I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I love what you're doing. I think it's great that you're helping people with just different industries. So, absolutely, I'm happy to do it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This episode of Career Convos is brought to you by Aligned Ambition. If you're looking for help while preparing to enter the workforce, need tools to build your resume, or are looking for guidance in finding a career path that is a great fit for you and your personal strengths, click on the link in the show notes to learn more about what Aligned Ambition has to offer.